Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to be with you. It looks like we have about 17 of us thus far on, and it would not surprise me to know that more will be joining. I just wanted confirmation. You can hear me pretty clearly at this point? Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. And so my name is Lisa Bolden, and I've been the certification coordinator since the beginning of 2019. I have been in this program since actually 2014, so quite a long time. Something that's near and dear to my heart. It's a practice that I use in my work and that I incorporate into my daily life. So I believe strongly in the work that we are doing. This year, well, first of all, I should say that I am coming to you from the shoreline of New Hampshire. So I'm on the East Coast. And I see that folks might be writing in on the chat box where it is that they are from. I use the pronoun she, her, hers, and I welcome you to be here today. So this open house is to give you some information about what will be our 11th certification year. We are an international program. We have grown considerably over the years. In my year, there were like 25 students. I think the first year there were maybe 10. And now you'll expect somewhere between 200 and 250 students. And let me tell you just a tiny bit about this in case you're not terribly familiar with what our version of trauma-sensitive yoga is. TCTSY, Trauma Center Trauma Sensitive Yoga. We've been around since 2003, developing, implementing, researching, studying a program that is specifically for survivors of complex or developmental trauma. There is a full body of research. In fact, if you are interested, you can always go to traumasensitiveyoga.com, and there is a tab to learn more, and you're welcome to see how this practice has been researched and used over the years. It is considered an evidence-based practice for those of you who are clinicians, so that can be very important to know. Our program has been approved with the NASW for, Karen, update me, 23 credits. Okay, I'm going to give my team a chance to also introduce themselves in just a moment. As soon as I just finish telling you just a little bit about this. And so our foundations for this program are in trauma theory, in hatha yoga, and on neuroscience. We are different than, I would say, any other program that is out there. We feel really proud of the work that we do. This certification program, which is a 300-hour certification program that runs from September through the end of March. And I will explain much more about what that entails. So I've introduced myself. I'd love to give my other teammates a moment to introduce themselves. And I see Jen Turner is here, if you don't mind, Jen.
Hi there. Good morning for me. I realize we are all over the globe. My name is Jen Turner. My pronouns are she, her. I am in Massachusetts, the United States, south of Boston, on the unceded territory of the Wampanoag tribe. And I am so excited to be here. I'm the co-founder and co-director of the Center for Trauma and Embodiment, but I've been working with this model with Dave Emerson since 2006. I'm so excited that you all are here and curious about the work that we're doing. A lot of folks are working and doing kind of this trauma-informed work. Well, we've definitely been at it for a long time, and I'm here if there are any questions or curiosities that you might have. So thanks for joining.
Thanks, Jen. And just for those who have joined a little bit late, this meeting is being recorded, so please adapt as you would like, whether your camera is on or off, whether you choose to list your name or not. Karen Schwartz, who is someone that you will become familiar with, not only in the application process, but possibly as a mentor in the program. Karen, would you share a few words?
I will. Good morning, everyone. I'm coming to you from Brooklyn, New York. What up? And very happy. I've been with Center for Trauma and Embodiment working since 2019. I've been certified in Trauma Center, Trauma Sensitive Yoga since 2016. I'm a social worker, yoga teacher, yoga therapist, and really honored to be a part of this organization, which is one of a few that I've been involved with that really walks the talk. We really strive to have integrity and to really be true to our model and to our ethos. I will be somebody that you'll have a lot of interaction with. I kind of manage all of the questions around payment, how things work, and I'm always open to questions and feedback and interaction. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm having a slight technical issue, so bear with me for 1 second. I realized that my notes got cut off. So all of a sudden I realized I didn't have half of what I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to just pull up a document. If you see me looking sideways, it's just because I have something on another screen. I'll attempt to make that a little bit nicer here. Yeah, one thing I didn't share is that I too am a clinician, a licensed clinical social worker, a yoga teacher as well with a 200-hour designation. And you will find one of the things that I'd like to just share right off the bat is that people ask who can actually apply for this program. And so let me read this. There we go. 200-hour certified yoga professionals, mental health or healthcare professionals. So that's pretty broad. We could give you lots of designations, but if you're in the healthcare field, please drop us a note if you have any question about it. Certainly, we welcome you to the program. And then the third category, which is broader still, are community providers who are working with people or in communities that have experienced trauma. So that might open us up to people such as EMTs, people working at nonprofits, community liaisons. So we are trying to welcome in rather than exclude out. But what is most important is that we want to know that the people that are doing the training have the support that's needed, because working with people and communities that have experienced trauma can be very hard work. And the need for a support net, a safety net of whatever sort that might be for you is really important to us. And so I'm going to roll backwards just a little bit here, and there'll be time for questions. You may be aware that our application process begins on January 15th. So that's when you can go to the Trauma Center, Trauma Sensitive Yoga. Actually, this is traumasensitiveyoga.com website. Sorry about that. And you will find the ability to put an application in, and everything is done online. If you have any challenges, please ask, please send a note to the people who are watching all of the correspondence for the program. But we try to do everything that we can online. So January 15th is the opening date. I will later talk a little bit about the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Scholarship, which is a separate process, but no matter what you do, you have to apply for the program and be accepted to our program to begin with. What is the program? I briefly said to you that we are based on neuroscience, trauma theory, and hatha yoga. Here's some of the topics that we cover in all of the weeks. So the weeks that start the middle of September that go all the way through March. We cover trauma theory, yogic underpinnings of trauma center, trauma sensitive yoga, the language that we use, intersectionality, oppression and embodiment, choice making, self-care, neuroscience over 2 weeks, neuroscience and interoception over 2 different weeks, attachment theory, shared authentic experience. How can we come to this work with a sense of authenticity, meeting people where they are? Trauma and memory, present moment experience, dosage, titration. How much do we offer? How little do we offer? Non-coercion, transference and countertransference. I'm almost done. Beginnings and endings of a practice. What might it look like to welcome people in? What might it look like to complete a practice or a session with someone? The clinical application of TCTSY. So we have a week that is solely focused on those who are using it clinically, and then also a week for those who are using it as a yoga professional. Now, you may hold both designations and you can attend both if you'd like, or if you're curious about one or the other, you're welcome to. And you also may choose to stay in what it is that is your scope of practice. So completely up to you, but it allows a little bit deeper discussion about specific use of this model. We have a week on working with children and adolescents. We have a week on adapting trauma-sensitive yoga to meet the needs of the folks that you are with. So that could mean they need physical adaptations, that could mean neurodiversity, that could mean working with older adults. There can be many different ways that we might want to be sure that we're meeting people where they are. What are some challenges that we might encounter when offering this model? What might a screening practice look like? So that's the brief review of what we cover over this long period of time. Let me talk a little bit about what the flow of the program is. And I think I'm going to jump to a place that is really, really important. We know that hurt, according to Judith Herman, so someone who wrote a seminal book called Trauma and Recovery, we know from her work that all hurt happens in relationships, and healing happens in relationships. We base our model on the importance of this interpersonal connection that we have. That is where you see shared authentic experience. That is where you see consistent practice and the languaging and titration. And the model for learning is also based there. And so what becomes important is that as you enter one of the cohorts, and we have 4 different cohorts all around the world. So one of them is North America, which includes Canada and the United States. One of them is Europe, and one of them is Australasia, so Australia, New Zealand, Asia. And then the 4th one is the Spanish community that is predominantly for people who live in Spanish-speaking parts of the world, but will also include people in any other country that are sharing this and have an identity that would fit this model. So we have a cohort there. So there's 4 different cohorts that we have. And what happens is once you have applied and been accepted, you are assigned to the cohort where you live and work. Some people have a little challenge with that because maybe you happen to be in one place, but you plan to be in another. So what I would say to you is in your application, if you know that you are going to be shifting or changing or things will be different, please let us know, because we want to make sure that you're being supported in the cohort where you will be providing this practice. And we're an international program. We realize that sometimes people do shift and move and change. So we do our very best to get you into that space. And one of the things that will happen right off the bat is that you will be assigned to work with either 1 or 2 other students in the program, a dyad or a triad relationship. It's really important. It's the backbone of what we are doing here for you, that each week you will meet with your partner or partners for 1 hour to do some practice teaching all through the program, to be able to talk about the information that's come up, challenges, awareness, whatever it is. But that 1 hour a week and the development of that relationship, a working relationship, is really important. And your dyad or triad will be assigned one of our program mentors. And so if you happen to say be in Australasia, we have 5 mentors from there. We will assign you one of those 5 mentors. So the relationships are really, really very important. And it's a model for what will happen for you or what we support you in doing when you go out and do this work in the world. So one thing is that you'll do the application. We will assign you a partner or partners. We will assign a mentor to your small group. Your mentor will join your group every other week for just a little bit, maybe about 20 minutes or so of your meeting, of your 1 hour meeting, to answer questions, to help facilitate some practice, to help keep you moving along in the program, making sure you have answering any questions. And I'll talk a little bit more about the mentorship role as we go on. So right from the get-go, right from when you start this program in September, right through March, you will have weekly meetings with your dyad or triad partners. We are a fully online program, but we are not I can't think of the word I'm looking for. We are a model that does require some live engagement. So certainly the weekly meetings with your partners is live. We give you opportunities to be live at other times, but that's really most important. And your work with your mentor will be a live. There we go. Somebody said it's not a self-paced program. Thank you for that. And so it is not something where you can just open up the entire course curriculum and there you are, and you can do it at your own basis. We are going to release information every week so that we know that you're steeping into the material each week. You're having a chance to practice it and to do the readings. And what does that really mean for you? So you will have an opening weekend to attend, and we strongly encourage the attendance at the opening weekend versus just watching the recordings after the fact. Although the recordings will be provided, because we know life happens and sometimes people have to miss certain parts of it. In the old days prior to 2020, we had an in-person opening weekend in 4 different places. But we are now, and have been since 2020, and I think we do a real bang-up job of this, we do an online opening weekend. So that means you can be in the comfort of your house or whatever space you'd like to be in. And I'm going to give you rough times, roughly 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it would end around 4 o'clock on a Saturday and a Sunday. And for this coming year, the opening weekend will be September 9th and 10th. So a Saturday and Sunday, small modules, 4 different opportunities to practice. We give you time off. I love that I'm getting little happy faces. Thank you, Sunny. And we give you lunchtime, we give you break time. We're going to encourage you to do what you need to be comfortable. That might mean to close your camera. That might mean to stand up when you're listening, whatever it is that you need to do. We understand that it can be very hard to be here, and you're going to hear some really important information about the program, the nuts and bolts of how the program runs, as well as different seminars on the yoga aspect and seminars on relationship building and on intersectionality that might also allow you to break into smaller groups within these larger cohorts. The largest of our cohorts, numbers-wise, does tend to be the North American cohort, but usually in each of the others, we have between 30 and 50 as well. So none of them are very small. There's ample opportunity to meet other people in the program and to correspond. And we also tend to have an hour of the lunch hour or hour and a half that we provide. You're welcome to come into just a general discussion, have your lunch and chat with others in the program. We have someone to facilitate that. So opening weekend, September 9th and 10th, and then we begin to roll. The very first module will be dropped into the learning platform on September 11th on a Monday. So the way this typically runs is that on a Monday morning, Eastern time, you will find a seminar that is between 45 minutes and 1 hour in length, and typically PowerPoints accompany that. There might be some special readings that particular seminar facilitator will provide, but you will also have every 2 weeks we release a set of readings. That could be research papers, that could be videos, that could be PowerPoints, that could be, we try to make sure that we have enough material for you to educate yourself that is of different types and qualities, because not everybody feels that reading a research paper is easeful, helps them in their learning. You might want to watch a video. So as much as is possible, we give you different ways to learn more about trauma theory. So you've got these readings or videos that you'll do completely on your own, a seminar that is facilitated by one of our mentors in the program from somewhere around the world. So you might be listening, even if you're in North America, you might be listening to someone from the UK giving a presentation. So you'll have this seminar, you'll have their PowerPoints, you'll have some readings. And then you have the opportunity to meet with your dyad triad partner. And you will also have a Saturday, what we call a discussion. What have we renamed this? I really like the name, live practice and discussion on Saturday. So on Saturdays, we offer 2 different times. You only need to either be present or to watch one of them. One of them is done at 12 noon Eastern time, and one of them is 6 p.m. Eastern time. So if you happen to be in Australasia, that is Sunday morning for you. But 2 different opportunities, 2 different facilitators on the same topic. And what we typically will do is, so trauma theory, what we may be giving you as the Saturday paired practice, will be choice making, because we believe in the importance of giving people opportunities to make choices for their own bodies, their own movement, their own stillness. So we join the two of them. We try to give you a practice that embodies what it is that we're teaching throughout the course of the week. Now, if you cannot attend the live practice and discussion, one of those two, you are welcome to watch it after the fact. It usually takes 24 to 48 hours for us to get this updated into the system, and you can watch. And you also may say, you know what, I really love to get more practice time in. I'm going to be present at the noon, but later on in the week, I want to watch what the person at 6 p.m. did. Those are going to be available for you all through the program. You can go back, you can watch them, so you can always go backwards into the materials to review again, right through, say, the end of April, roughly the end of April, that material will be available to you. So I'm going to pause in one moment for questions so that I make sure that nobody has a question about this. So again, the flow for the week will be a seminar will be released. There will be readings or things to watch and to view that is outside material. You will have a meeting with your dyad partner, and you'll have this Saturday opportunity and actually requirement to either watch live or after the fact a practice and discussion that will happen. The last little piece of that I want to mention that is available to you throughout the course of the whole program are drop-in groups. So we've heard from our students, we try to really be responsive to what people are asking for us. So at the end of a program, we send out a survey. What did you love? What would you like to see more of? And what we heard is that people wanted more time to be live and in person with the mentors. So what we now offer is every other week, we have drop-in groups that are an hour. They're different times. They can be daytime, nighttime. They're actually run through all of the cohorts. So every cohort has a bi-weekly drop-in group that is optional. You may choose to not participate, but you may also say, you know what, I'd really like to go. These are not recorded, and they're not recorded because they are typically smaller groups, maybe 3, 4, 5 people that show up with a facilitator, one of the mentors. And sometimes they want to get into some discussion that could possibly become a little personal. You know, even though we try to keep our own stories to the headlines and not the deeper stories of our lives, things can get a little personal. We are studying trauma, and many people who come into the program have their own stories. We all have our own stories. So just to respect privacy, what is shared in the drop-in group stays in the drop-in group, and it's an opportunity to learn live with one of our mentors. So that's an option for you. So before I keep moving on, any questions that are coming up that you want to ask about that flow? And that is the flow from September through December, when you'll have a break. So anything, I'm going to take a quick look in the chat box. If you want to ask a question, you know how to use the hand, please go ahead and please raise that. Okay, I see. Let's see. Someone asked, oh, and Karen answered 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's adjusted for all of the cohorts, so they will be in their own time, but roughly it's during the daytime hours. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move forward just a little bit. So our program, we think of it as separated into 2 blocks. So the first half being September through December, where exactly all of the things that I told you happen. And we ask that every other week, so there's 7 times, we ask you to write a reflection based upon the prior 2 weeks of learning. The reflections are roughly a page. It's not necessary that you are a proficient, wonderful, expressive writer. It is about what might have caught your attention. What might you have learned in this? We give you a series of questions that you could answer any one of them and use that as kind of a writing prompt. But you may also find, let's say our module on self-care, you may decide to write about something that you did and you figured out for yourself. We are open to all of that. What we are hoping to do is to be sure that you are absorbing some of the information, that you're asking the questions. And so that is typically about a page of writing, typing that you'll submit right through the learning platform. And if you feel that it is more easeful for you to do a recording of what it is that you would like to share because writing is more difficult or speaking is less, please let us know, let your mentor know, and they will work that out with you. So it's more of a reflection of what's gone on for the past 2 weeks. I'm looking to see if I've missed anything on there. So those 7 modules, or 7 reflection papers, you finish by the end of December, and you have roughly a 2-week time off period. At some point in that first half, you will be meeting individually with your mentor. Your mentor will set that up with you, and that would be a time to do 2 things. One of them is to check in about how are things going. Are you experiencing easefulness? Are there some challenges they can work on with you? Is there anything else they can provide as far as support goes? Now, you're going to be having constant communication with your mentor throughout, but this is a really nice special time to check in. Secondarily, there is a project that I haven't mentioned, but at the very end of the program, by March 15th, there is a longer project that we ask you to complete to deepen your knowledge about some area of trauma, of presenting this to your community, of understanding something. So it's what we encourage is that you have identified an area of focus before you go on the winter break. So this is also a time for you to possibly speak with your mentor about, hey, I'm really interested in polyvagal theory. I'd like to write a paper about that. Oh gosh, I have a grant that I want to apply for. I'd really like it to include TCTSY. This might be my project. I want to develop a presentation or a training. I want to add this to a presentation I make to my clinical group. Can I possibly develop something? So we allow many different types of ideas, and this is something that you will speak with your mentor about and hopefully define so that then you can go into your break, have a couple of weeks off to clear some space, take care of yourself. You come back, and that will be part of the focus for the second half. I just want to glance quickly because I saw a couple of things run through the chat box, and I know Karen's doing a phenomenal job here. I think you've covered it all. Okay. Someone just asked if I'd like to incorporate this certification to my online practice. Is it possible during video sessions, teletherapy? Oh, so if I'm understanding you correctly, and please correct me if not, can you use this in a telehealth model? And I would say you can use this in a telehealth model. Thank you so much. You'd be able to certainly, and this would be something you could speak about more once you're in the program about what are safety requirements. How do you best make sure that the people that you're working with at a distance have what they need? Because as you may be aware that because trauma resides partly in the body, that when you begin moving or noticing the body or being present in a moment, that can, rather than being regulating, could be dysregulating. And we anticipate that. In fact, that's really important to make sure that people know this is not intended to be a self-regulation practice where everyone becomes calm and grounded. This may bring things up, and that may be part of the healing process. And so it's important for people to know that. It's important for you to build some safety measures in if you are doing this via telehealth. Yeah, thank you for asking that question. So we now have this winter break that comes up. We come into the second half of the program, and we still have your weekly dyad triad meetings. Your mentors are still joining you every other week. You have a seminar every Monday. We have Saturday practices, and we have drop-in groups. The drop-in groups might become a little bit more like once a month, and that is because the main focus of the second part is the experiential aspect. Now, we are asking that in your dyads and triads that you are facilitating for each other, with each other, as you go short practices during your hour together. But in the second half, not only will you be doing that with your partner or partners, but you will be providing video content to your mentors, roughly 10-minute segments We say that it's going to be 8 segments in over the course of about a 2-month period. You're going to be releasing them every other week, 2 segments. And that will be the focus of your work one-on-one with this mentorship that you will also have. So let's add one more thing to the mix. So we're going to take away the need to write reflections. We're going to take away the need to read research papers and watch other videos. So you no longer have that, but you will be providing some video content so that your mentor can help you to increase your skillfulness. So, and typically they might say, okay, in the first 2 videos, I'd like to make sure that you're using invitation in everything you do. I'd like to make sure that you are providing choice. So here's the 2 things you might focus on for the first couple. And they will be watching and guiding you. Everyone comes to this learning. We are always learning. I've been in this, for over 10 years now. I am constantly learning from my students because I also mentor, from my colleagues when I hear what they do. So this is an opportunity to get some one-on-one time. You get approximately 3 hours, no less than 3 hours over the course of the program, and oftentimes a little more as needed. And if your mentor feels that there is a need for even additional work, they could ask that you provide another video or 2, but usually 8 is sufficient to be able to get you to a place where you have a comfort level and you exhibit a skillfulness of staying consistent to the model. So the second half, the focus is on the videos, learning more about that. And then there is this project that is due March 15th. And again, with the support of your mentor, you will develop an idea. And we have specifics as far as if you're writing a paper, here's how many words. If you're doing PowerPoints, here's the number of slides. So I don't want to get too deeply into that right now, but know that we will honor your topics that you feel are important and that we will help you to best define. And then you are required, it is not, if any of you have been to grad school or to even in high school had to write research papers that were very specific with citations, that is not what we're requesting. We do, however, request to know 3 different resources that you have used to prepare this. So 3 articles you've read, a video you've watched. What is the basis for what you're sharing? So you will have a requirement, and we give you the way that you can list that at the back end of your project. So I think that gives you the flow of what you can expect. Now, once we've had one of our mentors sit down and try to determine about how much time could this take over the course of a week. Could be as much as 12 hours, maybe less. I think this totally depends on a number of things. How do you adapt to what is your learning style? Do you like to pore over things, take a lot of time, highlight, write, whatever it happens to be? That's one aspect. It's also possible that you have come in with some prior knowledge. Some of this may be a refresher for you. For some, it might be brand new. So it's really hard to say to you how much time, but you can know that you are going to, let's just say, have about an hour's worth of reading. You're going to have an hour with your dyad triad. You're going to have an hour of watching seminars. You're going to have an hour in a Saturday practice. And that 4 hours is very short. I would say to you, you are looking at least 6 to 12 hours per week. And it's going to depend on how you learn and how you absorb information. Sometimes the question comes up of, can I do this while I'm working full time? Can I do this while I am raising a family or caring for another person? Can I do this if I travel? The beauty of having this be an online program is that you can take it wherever you go. I believe many people do this and work full time. Many people do this and they are students. Many people do this and they are caring for others at the same time. It depends really on your life and the space. You do need to create some space around this. And again, the relationships, especially with your partners and your mentor, are really, really important throughout this. So almost everything else you can do late at night, early in the morning, but there is a need to be present for some part of this program. And certainly within the application, there is an area that says, is there anything else that we need to know? We ask, are there any adaptations that you need? And we also ask, is there something else that we need to know? So feel free to let us know in your application that, here's what's happening for me. I'm trying to discern whether I can make this work, or can we, I'm a person who needs to know that I can read subtitles. The good answer to that is that not only do we do subtitles, but you have the opportunity to translate that into almost any language. So all of our video content will have that. So if that's important to you, we have it, but you may need other adaptations. So write that in the application. Karen, Jen, and now I see Crystal is here, and I'm wondering if you might introduce yourself. You weren't here at the very beginning. I'd love to have the folks know one of the team member has joined.
Yeah, hi. My name is Crystal, and I'm a mentor and a trainer, specifically for the Spanish community. Now I'll be joining the Center for Trauma and Embodiment in other roles, but I'm here just to support this meeting. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I don't know that I've missed anything, but if I have, please, anyone in my team jump in on what people are to expect throughout this, and then I can kind of roll on to prior training, financial policies, all that good stuff. Okay.
Lisa?
Yes, ma'am.
I would say just very briefly, excuse me, Angelina asked a very important question about, since it's an online program, how do we teach postures? How do we correct people? And I mentioned that this is not a part of our model, and anybody who completes the foundational training will find that, but maybe you want to speak very briefly to just what this practice is about.
Sure. And thank you for bringing that up. My next thing would be to say, foundationally, in order to apply, you have to have attended either a 20-hour or the 40-hour. 40-hour I know is done at Kripalu here in Massachusetts, maybe done in other places, but typically it's a 20-hour training by one of our certified trainers. And you can find lists of those on the website. And we require that because it's very important that you come in with some understanding of what you're getting yourself into in doing a 300-hour training, in deepening your awareness of what trauma looks like, and how we do this work. We are based on Hatha Yoga, and you will find that in this model, we don't use form names. We don't require people to do anything well. We offer few descriptions of how to be in a form, maybe 2 motoric cues. So someone happens to be in Warrior 2, what you might know as Warrior 2 for those of you who have a yoga background. I am not going to say very much other than you're welcome to consider whether you want to bend or straighten your knee, and maybe you want to extend your arms, or perhaps you want to lift your arms in a different space or place. It is not about being good at a form. It is not even about doing a form, because you may find that people come to this practice and want to move in very small, unnoticeable ways. It is about being present with someone and offering this, because we do know that the opportunity to move your body based upon the information that you receive, making your own choices, is really important. So it is not, it may look a bit different than a traditional yoga practice. It offers much more choice. It offers invitation. And yes, it is based on yoga forms. And we offer ways that people might have at least an A-B choice, lifting your arms up, or you might choose to extend your arms forward. You may choose to sit in a chair. You may choose to sit on a mat. I hope that was enough there. Jen, is there anything else you'd want to say about that, to add?
I mean, I think that's great. I think that, for me, the overarching theme is that we're helping folks to expand the capacity to tolerate what they've been through and experienced, right? And a lot of times that means being able to also tolerate challenge and pain and discomfort. And so when we focus on regulation too heavily, we bypass, right? We lose the opportunity to support people in holding their the complexity of their experience. And so really creating a space where all is welcome and the price of admission isn't, self-love and peacefulness, that people can really come holding the burdens that they have and feel like it's for them and they belong.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jen. And Karen, feel free to interrupt if other things come through. Thank you for manning the chat box for me on that. So I mentioned the prior training. And so with regard to the application process, if you have completed one of these trainings, a 20 or a 40 hour at any time in the past number of years that we've been offering it, you can use that. So if you did it 3 years ago, it's fine. It still qualifies you. You can go ahead and submit your application. If you have not completed the prior training, although you can submit your application, we will have to wait to review it and accept you into the program until we know you have completed that training. We accept applications on a rolling basis. We do our very best to get everyone who has applied and has met the qualifications to be in this program. That has meant for us last year that we have some people, because we had more people from North America and less from some of our European or Australasian community, that some of our mentors from either Europe or Australasia are mentoring students that are here, but you would still be part of, say, the North American cohort. That's the one that tends to fill up. And we really try, I think we were able to take every single person over time that had applied. We just had to do some creative sharing of students with mentors, and it's a wonderful experience. And so, again, we can complete and accept you once we know you have met the requirement that you're either any one of those three, a 200-hour trained yoga professional, a mental health clinician or health professional, somebody that's working in a community to address people who have experienced trauma. So those are the two main things that we are watching for prior training, and that you meet that, and then we can review and accept. And then what happens? You get this lovely letter from Karen who says, welcome, we've accepted you to the program. You will be required to make a $1,500 deposit within 2 weeks of getting that acceptance letter. The cost of the program is $3,600 total. So $1,500 deposit that secures your spot in this. Your balance is due. The rest of it is due by August 15th. So that gives you some space. We do have a payment plan option for people who drop Karen a note and say, hey, here's my struggle. I really feel that I need some additional time to make the payments. You are required to be full paid in this program by, Karen, I should have pulled this up, December 1st or December 15th, but in December before we would let you continue on. So we need to know that you're full paid. But the payment plan are 3 payments, September, October, November. Correct? Yes, she's shaking her head. These things should be ingrained in my brain, but sometimes, so that might offer you a little bit of extra flexibility if it's something that you need. And again, what you would want to do is once you're accepted, you want to drop Karen an email and say, here's my financial situation briefly, and why I need to be in a payment plan. And I know Karen is furiously probably answering emails that are, or text or chats that are coming in on that. What happens if you apply, pay the money, and you cannot continue with the program? If you withdraw prior to June 15th, you get a full refund, no questions asked. If it's between June 15th and August 15th, we need to fill your spot in order to give you a full refund of what you've paid in. So usually that's not a problem. And what we would do at that point between June 15th and August 15th is we hold back $250 and as an administrative fee, and we refund you the rest. If by some chance we do not fill your spot, so let's say you withdraw right on August 15th and we have already filled our cohorts, what we do is we hold half of your initial deposit, which is $750, and you get the rest back, whatever it is that you might have paid in. We also offer you an opportunity to defer for 1 year. So you've paid this money in we can't fill your spot, or let's just say you're in the program, you're in October and something happens within your life that requires you to withdraw from the program, we offer you an opportunity for 1 year to return. If you're already started in the program, you've got your mentor, you're working with your partners, you're in the first half of the program somewhere, and you really need to repeat the whole program, there is going to be an additional $1,000 fee that you will be paying, $1,050 fee that you will be paying to return for the entire program. Because we've already seated you with a mentor, we've created this space, we've provided you with materials. If you make it through the first half, you get through December, your reflections are all submitted, you've engaged with your partners and your mentor, and something has shifted, work or personal, and you really feel that you cannot come into the second half with videos and all of that, want to return the following January, that is an opportunity you have as well. And in that case, it would be a $525 fee to rejoin the program the following January. So we try to give you some options and as much flexibility as we possibly can. The fees are in US dollars. Karen is the person that you will be working with regard to submitting payments. And so specific questions you will be asking her once you get accepted into the program. But the biggest thing is that we do require the deposit within 2 weeks of being accepted. And then we give you these payment options for going forward. We do typically have, and I don't know how many this year, but somewhere between $500 and $500 grants that are based upon financial need. And for that, we will give you an opportunity to write an email in and describe why that would be really helpful for you. So that is there is no restriction it's really financially based. So it's not about who are you working with, what's your role, so on and so forth, period. I have a financial need. This would be really helpful. Send an email. We'll do our best. We review those so that you'll know that by June going forward. The other opportunity that we have is this Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Scholarship, and you will see some information online about this. The intention of the DEI scholarship, and we usually offer 2 to 3 of those a year, full payment, so there would be then your tuition is fully covered, is that we expand the reach of this program to areas that are not currently receiving access, that we address the health disparities that we know are out there, and that we also know that these populations of people are best served by providers who come from similar or the same community. So we would be looking to know that you are living within a community or you identify in a certain way, and therefore you are bringing this practice. So there is a separate Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Scholarship application. What you would do is you would apply. You have to be accepted to the program first. And then you'll have this opportunity to submit this application, which will ask you, how do you fit the requirement for DEI? Where do you plan to use this? What are your hopes and plans? And then there is a process where all of the people who are applying, we have a group, we have a team or committee that reviews these applications of people who have received the scholarship in past years. They will review this and they will choose roughly 10 to 12 people to say, these are the ones that we feel seem to meet the criteria best for this year. And there will be an interview process and ultimately the selections will be made. Let me just take a quick look at the timeline here for you to be aware of. So January 15th, both of those applications will be available, and the scholarship applications are due by March 1st. Interviewees are contacted by the middle of April, and then all of the awards will be announced by the end of May. So time, if you have not gotten the DEI, but you've been accepted into the program, it gives you both two things, an opportunity to say, hey, I didn't get in there. I do want to put in an email about the $500 grant. So you have the opportunity to then do that. Secondarily, it also gives you some time to figure out, I don't have the funds right now. What might I do to be able to make that happen? One piece of information that I do want you to know is that we do require with the application, and it is also part of the DEI, is a copy of a resume or a CV. And if you've not done these before, basically what we're looking for is to know what prior training you've had, what work you're doing in the world. So don't worry if it's not something, if you have to prepare it for this, just do your best to list the details that are typically there. Where do you live? Where do you work? What have you done? What's a little bit of your history that would help us to know you a little better? Wow, we have 9 minutes to spare. And I know Karen's been answering chats. Are there any things that are coming up, Karen, that I should address vocally? Is there anything that anybody else would like to speak into this space at this point? Okay, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of information to share. It's a lot to take in. I recognize that. Everything that I have shared with you is on the website. The open house can be really helpful if reading all of this data feels even more overwhelming than hearing it, or complicated. But everything that I have just shared with you is well detailed, and our digital content provider, Stefan, who is amazing and wonderful, and you will probably, if you're in the program, will be connected with, so that you can get into our learning platforms. If you have any technology challenges, we really work to make this as easy as possible. He's done a really beautiful job of, we've taken this information and tried to distill it into smaller nuggets, so that if all you want to do is know about financial policies, if all you want to do is hear about the program content, you can go in and look at that frequently asked questions. So the website is full of everything that I just shared with you. This just kind of puts a face on it.
Lisa, or maybe Jen, there's a question about what is the value of the foundational training if you're not going to do the CERT. So maybe you want to speak to that.
I'm happy to, if you want me to, Lisa. You've and also doing some amazing executive functioning over there with your brain. I'm like, how does Lisa do this? You just do it. So yes, it's a great question. And so the 20-hour is really a chance to kind of give our frame on the model, but also on trauma treatment in general, which is quite different actually than a lot of folks that are doing this work in the field. So it's certainly that it allows you to deepen into the current practice you have. So you stay within the scope that you already have. But let's say you're a yoga teacher, professional, and it allows you to begin to become more trauma informed and kind of bring that component into the work that you're already doing. The same thing as a mental health practitioner. If you do one-on-one sessions or group sessions, you might begin to bring some embodiment into that scope, but it doesn't change your scope as a 300-hour does, right? You begin to expand your scope with a 300-hour. With a 20-hour, it is, again, it is, in my estimation, it's a reframe. It's often the feedback we get. I lead a lot of the 20 hours, is that it's a reframe on kind of trauma care or just treatment in general, and care as a yoga professional, care as a mental health practitioner, or whatever your scope is, a community leader. And so that's a chance to kind of lay that groundwork, and then we really build from that in the 300-hour. I would say, though, that the 20-hour in and of itself does really give a shift, a paradigm shift around how we think about, the relationship. What is treatment? What is wellness? What is healing? Some of these more kind of broader strokes of philosophical approaches to care.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
It's with a 20-hour, with that underlayment. It is amazing, really, how this work and this understanding begins to change how you speak, how you respond to people, your awareness of how prevalent trauma is in our society amongst the people that you're working with. When I came into this program, I was a yoga teacher, a 200-hour yoga teacher, and I really didn't have any awareness of this. And this just opened my mind, opened my work, made me so much more compassionate and aware and trauma informed. And it was during the program that I opted to go the further step to become a clinician, to begin treating it in multiple ways. But I love coming at it from both perspectives. And wherever you happen to be, one thing I didn't mention that I should mention is that we have now been approved by Yoga Alliance. So those of you who are coming in and your focus is as a yoga teacher, a yoga professional, this does bring you up to a 500-hour YTT. So if that's important to you, that this will be our second year that we have that. And something that I'm going to say just a slight brief bit about is that once you are certified in this model, you are now part of this wider community, and we have a good standing program, and we continue on with free seminars each month and with other supportive materials and opportunities and being aware of new research. And we have an annual trauma conference. And so there's more beyond this, because as I said way back in the beginning, we believe that we cannot do this work alone. We believe that we are developing relationships, safe, consistent relationships with those that we provide this practice to. And we are also now, we have our own scope of practice as a TCTSY certified facilitator, a ways of being document that you will be you'll be made aware of, and you will be asked to sign at the end, and you'll learn about during opening weekend, because we believe in practicing this ethically and in holding space as best as we can for people who are have experienced trauma and maybe are experiencing trauma. We have just 3 minutes to go, and so I want to end on time. Karen is answering questions. You can also go on the website, and if you have further questions, there is a way to ask them. So drop an email. It comes to Stefan, to myself, to Karen. One of the three of us will respond to your questions. Opening day is January 15th, so it's about a week from now. We're running a second open house later today, so 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as well. But we are going to, this is being recorded, and this will be uploaded to the website. So I'm really grateful for your presence. Thank you for being here. Thank you for considering the program. We welcome your questions and your curiosity. And I think we are probably at a wrap. Karen, you're awesome. Thank you for doing what you're doing there on the sidelines. I'm going to stop the recording if I can find my mouse.